What's good, everybody? We are back. It is your boy Jarod and your girl Gabby, episode 73 of the Kicks and Shit Show. Bah, 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 bah. You know, I cut that short because mainly I feel like people are still reliving or trying to function off of last night's lack of sleep, given NBA basketball going to double overtime. And then forget about that. For those of you like me who this is your job, after that game, you are then up watching the West Coast game, which doesn't finish till Lord knows what time. So, I had to cut it short because, your boy's tired. But anyway, Gabby, first question we must always ask, where in the world are you?
Well, Jarod, I am in beautiful Hoboken. Feels great to be home. I also thought we were cutting back on that just because you were ready to shake things up.
No? You're right. I'd already forgotten.
It's okay, Jarod. We all have senior moments, some more frequently than others. But
yes,
that's okay.
Well, listen, some of us are old. It happens.
And I know you're not referring to me. So. But no, it feels great to be back in New York. I feel like I'm in a beautiful Airbnb.
Lovely.
Beautiful is maybe an overstatement, but it works.
A lovely Airbnb.
I've been able to get parking on the street right outside where I'm staying.
Wi-Fi working.
Blocks from my old place. Wi-Fi is amazing. It's nice and quiet.
So you do work and actually have calls and not get interrupted?
Yeah, and it's a 2-bedroom, so I can sleep in either bedroom. It's very exciting in these streets.
Look at you.
But yeah, it just felt nice being back. Like I got off the plane from the West Coast and that crisp fall air that kind of hits you in the face a little bit and then kind of hugs you after that. Very excited to be back because, as you know, Jarod, this is the most exciting and active month for sports of the year.
Sure is. Baseball playoffs, NFL season's already 4 or 5 weeks in. NBA just tipped off. Hockey kicked off about a few weeks ago. Listen, there's a lot. All 4 major sports in North America are going at once. And tonight, actually, the night that we're recording this, you're having all 4 sports at once on television tonight. Thursday night football, the Thursday night TNT games, playoff baseball, and of course regular season hockey as well. It is. What a time to be alive, as the kids say. I was just
going to say that, Jarod.
I knew.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's how well I know you. So, look.
Wait.
Yes?
Zach Morris, timeout.
Timeout.
Jarod, I know you mentioned that you've been busy with work, but what else is going on in these streets? NBA is back.
Yes, the NBA is back. This is my favorite league, favorite sport. So, your boy is super excited. Lots of things in the works, checking in on teams and players and GMs and sagas and what's happening. And it's just like, man, it's like we never left. I feel like the off season was short, but we're back. I'm in the groove, League Pass is fired up as always. I'm like, but it's tough, right? You gotta balance it, right? You can't just be doing 3 games a night. It's like, all right, man, this is getting crazy. You gotta.
It's a marathon.
It's
not a sprint.
Yes. So you must plan out well, right? So we're recording tonight. There are TNT, the national games are on tonight. I'll probably watch a little bit of the first one and probably take tonight off. For tomorrow, actually, I'm actually going to go out and do something social with some friends. Nothing late.
Wow.
Let's not get crazy. Just some nice drinks to catch up with some folks. Nothing crazy. So I'll probably miss some hoops. But then Saturday, late night, gonna be doing some hoops. And then Sunday, I will be actually in person for the Nets home opener. I'll check that out, see what's happening down there. So it's going to be, it's not going to be like how it was in the past where I'd be in an arena maybe 3 nights a week. We ain't doing that. I'd say maybe once every, 10, 12, 14 days, something like that.
If you need a proxy, you let me know. I got you. I will say we did miss you at the
yes.
for the Knicks last night.
You and all the friends were there. Jenna, shouts to Jenna, my co-host of the 7 Footers podcast. And I like that cross promo. Thank you. Yeah, so you guys were in MSG, the world's most famous arena, last night, wildin' because the Knicks were really wildin'.
The Knicks were Knicksing last night. That's all I gotta say. The Knicks were Knicksing. It was to me, it was the most quintessential Knicks home opener, and here's why. I have a lot of thoughts, right? So I think to your point, it feels like the last season just ended. I'm rocking my We Here shirt from playoffs, Knicks. I'm still hyped from that. It feels like that was yesterday. Things are weird, time warp, fast forward 3 months later, here we are. But I feel like there were just so many interesting things, right? I feel like the Knicks fans are now more so out of the woodwork. So it's great to see the people. You can always tell like how good the Knicks are by what that celeb row looks like, right? So like
All the celebs were out last night. I feel like
everybody was out.
well,
I
the
got all
usuals.
when I saw ASAP Ferg.
The
in his
usuals
yellow
first,
jacket.
right? Like Dustin and Spike, of course. The usuals, right? We're
Was
there.
John Stewart, absolutely. Pete Davidson snuck in with some icy blonde hair.
Okay.
You know who was, I don't think, got much coverage?
Who?
Mr. Dave Portnoy, Barstool himself, was in the building
Well, I mean,
in Boston gear.
I
know.
I mean, as a celebrity, he ain't on the level of the people that we mentioned.
No, of course. But, like, and shouts to Kendra Randall for looking so fucking phenomenal. After that, like, she is like a week-old baby. And Ringo was, like, strutting out there.
Former Nick David Lee and his wife, Caroline Wozniacki, were there?
Yes. Yep, I saw that as well. I mean, and I will say, you know, like, that's what I love about the Knicks is the loyalty that, like, this new team has brought around. That's something we haven't seen in a while. So it was really nice to see the camaraderie and, like, the gang kind of get back together, right? Like, and then ASAP Ferg was there, and I totally thought he was going to jump in as a surprise performer on halftime. You know, like, IGGY was in full effect, you know.
Little Iggy Azalea at the half, you know. Doing it.
But it was a whole vibe, let me tell you.
Listen.
And in Knicks true fashion.
It was. The game went to double overtime.
Never said the Knicks are boring.
Knicks did, in fact, win it. And, you know, what I find so funny is, and again, it's whatever. It's just the fervor at which, I mean, Knicks fans, like, I mean, guys, it is game 1 of 82. You got 81 more of these to go. The sound in there was like it was playoff atmosphere. I was like, guys,
I loved it.
Like, and this is not like judgment. It's just more like, you know, the Knicks fans like really, and I think so much of it is the high off of last year and the team now having a team that you can root for and feel good about, right? You know, every night your team's going to compete hard. Right? You know that. You got players you can believe in. You got a coach you can believe in. You have a front office you can believe in. So I think like all of that has brought because Knicks fans are always there, but maybe the sound of the Garden has not been the same in recent years. But last year, back, and now this year again, back. So exciting times for Knicks fans. Enjoy.
I think so. But I think there's more to it than that, right? Like I feel like New York really went through it, you know, during COVID times. Not that other places did not. It just was a different vibe in New York, you know, everyone being so packed. It's like we needed some kind of win in the city. So, and I think Brooklyn added to that too, having a great season last year. I don't think that was exclusive to the Knicks, but it was like a reason to believe in something again, right? And, you know, I've said this before. I think basketball is better when New York basketball is better.
Sure.
And I say that New York basketball.
Look at you giving Brooklyn props.
Fan. I feel like I'm growing up a little bit, not just saying Knicks basketball, but obviously, you know, who we're rocking. But anyway, but I do think like there's a different energy. There's something about playing there. I think that the staff, like all the changes that the organization has made have been really great. But I think like just even seeing the transformation with Julius Randle coming back off the off season, like he had a great game yesterday. And I know that was a concern after like going from no fans to this crazy noise. Like he showed I can show up and really rock it out. Like I feel like he really stepped up as the leader of this team. And so that was really beautiful to see. I think like Knicks fans, to your point, like we haven't had a good team in a long time. So to have something to believe in, to show up after this pandemic, after this crazy year that everybody has had, like that in itself is a win. I think some of it is like carryover from the playoffs, but like just the way that people were on the streets, I totally agree with you. It had big playoff energy for game 1.
I was like, man,
I'm here for all of it.
I was like, y'all are wilding. I mean, granted, the game was exciting. Double OT. Knicks were up, like 6 with like a minute and change to go, and then Boston just went
and that
bonkers.
Buzzer beater 3,
I was like, hey, look at Boston coming back. No, it was, I mean, another celebrity who was there, we should shout out. I mean, of course, she was there supporting her husband, new head coach of the Boston Celtics, Ime Udoka. Nia Long, front and center, there as well. So, look, NBA is back. It is the most exciting league, in my opinion, and it's just great to have it back and all the excitement going on. And, you know, no doubt we'll be talking about it for sure. We'll be talking about the kicks and the different things that we're seeing on court, the fits, and more. But, Gabby, we have a special guest coming up, a sports fan, a sneakerhead, an entrepreneur. I'm really excited to talk to this guest. Everybody stay tuned. What's good, y'all? We are back. Gabby, we are not alone. We are joined by sneakerhead, Knicks and Giants fan, entrepreneur, Janelle Williams. How are you?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
I'm doing well. We cannot complain. Janelle, you are the founder, CEO of a candle company. So candles are a very interesting thing. I feel like there are people who candles are like, that's their thing. And when it's, it's a vibe, and they're heavy in the candle game, right? So Gabby's like me? Yes. Actually, yep. Yes, Gabby, I did get a gift from you that was in fact a candle. Where did the love of candles come from? Where did candles come from as an idea for you to start a business?
So I've always loved scents. When I was growing up, my mother and my grandmother would always have some type of a scent within the house. So that's why I just liked fragrance. Mm-hmm. And when I moved out, I liked my mom gifted me a candle, and I always lit it at night. It would help me not miss home so much. And then I just kind of fell in love with the aesthetic, because I'm an undercover pyro. I love fire. So just the aesthetics of it all. And then as I, researched and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of candles or whatever. So then I wanted to start my own business because I wanted some extra income, because I am a teacher, and I wanted to purchase some items for my students. And I'm like, okay, well, what can I do that I would enjoy doing, as well as, using it to help me out. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, candles, duh. And then I literally spent my entire winter break. We had 2 weeks off. I spent the entire break researching candles. I would stay up till 2, 3 in the morning until my computer died, and just researching how to make it and all of those things. And then literally 3 months after that, I launched my business.
It's lit.
Yeah.
Gabby.
Literally.
Two on the nose, Gabby. 2 on the nose.
Brad, you know how I do.
I do. Well, speaking of the nose, you mentioned you got gifted a candle by your mom, and scents. Our olfactory senses are among our most powerful senses, right? Because it triggers memory, right? And so when you were researching, is that something you tapped into and you're like, oh, this is really, because people love because for me, the holiday time, specifically the smell of baking chocolate chip cookies, literally takes me back to being a young kid, Thanksgiving, Christmas time. It happens every time. It is automatic. When you were researching, is that stuff that you focused on and keyed in on?
For sure, especially with the scents. I always wanted to give this nostalgic feel. So a lot of my candle names and the fragrances that are assigned to them, they provide that experience for me, and I wanted to share that with my customers. So under each description, it kind of gives an idea as to why I picked that scent and what it reminds me of and things of that nature. Because I love nostalgia. Anytime I see something that takes me back, whether it's 10 years, 15 years, 3 days ago, I really like that feeling. So I wanted to provide my customers with that feel and connect with me as well.
Nostalgia is powerful.
Mm-hmm, it really is. And I think, Jarod, I like that you mentioned about nostalgia, but also senses really just set a mood. It takes you back, in the way that we've had DJ guests on who've talked about creating an ambiance, a vibe. There's something about candles and fragrance that really does that. And I think, Janelle, you do such a great job making it tangible and understandable and relatable, because I think everyone's I have a top note of bergamot, and then Fiddler's Elbow, and
Fiddler's Elbow. Wait, that's a thing. That's an actual place. Fiddler's Elbow.
But what I mean, I don't know what the hell a Fiddler's Elbow smells like. What is that? And I love the way that you use you just make it relatable and easy to understand, in the best way. So I say that because I also love the way that you name your candles. We actually were talking about this at the Knicks game last night. Yes. And one of the girls was like, what scent do I need? I go, respect the beard. And she was like, what do you mean? And Drew chimed in and was like, yeah, respect the beard. And she's like, it's because you have a beard. I'm like, no, but it's because the way that the scents take you to a certain place, right? Like I have different candles for different moods, but I'd love for you to talk more about kind of like the inspiration and how you channel that process of naming from the scents.
Sure. So when I was looking up fragrances, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted, but I really didn't, because honestly, there are a lot of scents that I just don't like. I'm very like, I stick to what I know. And with the candle business, I'm like, I have to come out of my comfort zone because it's not about me, it's about the customers. So one candle in particular, I for some reason I just wanted like this citrusy scent, and when I was researching, I was like, oh, I can make it like a mimosa. And the fondest moment, not fondest, but the one of the memories that I had of mimosas was when I went to like a brunch. I love brunch, I love mimosas. And I ended up texting an ex of mine that I shouldn't have texted. And when you text people, you're not supposed to text, it puts you in a world of trouble. Yep. And so whenever I think of mimosas, I think about that text. So I named the candle "Don't Text Him." Because it really was like my actual life. Like I did not need to text him, and it made things in my life go a little less. So like that's just one example of one of the scents that I have. And as Gabby said, I do have a candle called Respect the Beard, and that candle at the time, I was dating a guy, and I have like tried this fragrance. I'm like, do you like it? Like, tell me what you think about it. He's like, oh, I love this. And one of the things that I liked about him was his beard, amongst other things, obviously. I'm not super type. And so I was like, oh, like I can definitely name this candle like after him in a sense. So I guess that's terrible to say because we're no longer together, but
it's all good.
Smells good.
But it was a moment in time, right? It's still like it brings back that memory and that nostalgia.
It's a memory about that moment. So I wanted to name the candle Respect the Beard. So
moment in time.
And then another one, a candle that I no longer have anymore, but it was called Post-Parent Conferences, and it was a lavender scent. And one of my coworkers, who turned into one of my close friends, she's a teacher as well, and we're always venting about like our teacher roles and the struggles of just being in education and especially now with COVID. And so I wanted to dedicate that candle to her because she loves lavender and she's a teacher. So I named it Post-Parent Conferences.
Love it.
Very calming scent. And after parent-teacher conferences, it's like,
gotta calm down.
You need a woosah. Yeah, you need a moment.
Is there something in front of you that like you're clicking? I think I'm hearing like background noise from like your something.
It could, it's my bracelet.
Okay, yeah, something's banging into something. I'm like, what is that?
All right, Jarod, it's a family show. Let's not talk about banging.
You see how that's how you do. Always going somewhere where it doesn't need to go, Gabby.
If you're gonna give me a layup, I'm gonna take that shot. Every time. I'm like the Boston Celtics. I will make that shot.
Oh Lord, here we go. We will get to that in a bit. Janelle, like, so what's the candle making process like?
Okay, so basically what I use soy wax because I'm like, if I'm going to do candles, I want to make it, healthy, the healthier option. So paraffin has a lot of toxins in it, and it just creates a lot more work for the consumer. So it starts off as like flakes, and I have to melt the flakes down to the right temperature. I have to add my oils to make the fragrance. I have to wick the jars, hand wick the jars, clean the jars, pour the wax in, set the wick so that way the wick is not crooked, cut the wick once it's dry, label, box. It's about I would say about a 2-hour process, and at this point I could probably get around 30 candles in 2 hours.
Wow.
So it's not a lot. So when I do have a lot of candles I need to make, it does become a little time consuming. So it's my 5, I call it my 5 to 10 after my 9 to 5.
That's good. I like it a lot.
But what I like about it, though, is that it is your side hustle is something you are already passionate about. And so many people that we have as guests on here, that's always the thing. It's like, oh, what you do looks so amazing, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to do that. And it's like, well, don't try to just do the thing that someone else is doing that looks amazing. It's always born out of something we're already passionate about, right? Like, and that's the thing, you can't fake that piece of it, right? Because to your point, let's say you had a day and the little, I was going to call them little monsters. The kids you teach the little monsters.
They're not.
They're not monsters. The little children give her a trying day, and you get home and you are just like wiped. The last thing you want to do is now work again, right? But because
Absolutely.
it's something I'm already passionate about, I don't see it as work, right? So I feel like that's important to so give someone out there who's listening like a little piece of what that means to you and how to like look at passions.
So I would definitely say you have to really, really love what you're doing, because you don't want it to be work. And there are days where I'm tired or I'm frustrated or, something just didn't go right. And I use that time with my candles to wind down. I put on some music. I don't like candles because the fragrances get all mixed up, but I put on my music and I think of the bigger purpose of why I'm doing it. At this point, it's beyond me. And so I have to constantly remind myself that it's okay to have a tough day, but never forget the reason why you're doing it. And sometimes you have to sit back and find that purpose again. Because like for me, like back Friday, I was overjoyed and overwhelmed at the same time with the response that I received with orders. But once I got everything shipped out and with delays and the holidays, I was ready to call it quits. It was just before Christmas and I was like, you know what? I think once I sell out, I think this is going to be it. And I took about a month off. I didn't post anything. I didn't create anything, because I was a little frustrated, but it was a frustration that came from support. So because I had sold out of everything and I got everything out on my own, and I had to really deep down think about like, why are you doing this? Like, what was your reason? I'm 2 months away from my 1 year anniversary and I'm ready to quit. So I really had to like dig in, and I really just think that people should just remember the why and the who it's for, because sometimes it's really not for us, it's for someone else, and you never know who you're inspiring. So don't give up. It's okay to slow down. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to reset, but always find your reason to keep pushing through.
Love that.
I think that's a big piece, right? Like there's a lot to unpack here. Talking about the why, I think, is so important, and it's what connects us to basketball, like our love for the Knicks, the why. What you do for work, your purpose, both in your 9 to 5 and your 5 to 10, right? It's like why we are the way that we are. But I also think that there's something really beautiful about like the routine, right? Like this Netflix documentary, Jiro Dreams of Sushi, talks all about that being the art form, right? So like this is how you wind down. It's your break, is actually your side hustle. So I think that's something that's really amazing and really beautiful. And I'd love to know like a little bit more, just like what that really means in terms of like how carrying that over to the rest of your life. Like, is it something that bleeds beyond your 5 to 10?
So I actually get this question a lot. And when I first started, you could never tell me it was going to be a business. I was going to make 30 candles and I was going to go on my day. And, but now that I see the response that I get, the feedback that I get, and the fun that I have with creating and expanding the business, I could definitely see like a brick and mortar situation.
Look at you. Okay.
Love this.
You know, 'cause I did it before because I never wanted it to retire me. I love what I do. I genuinely love being a teacher. I love my students. I love seeing them every day, even when they are trying me. So I never wanted it to supersede that. However, I'm not going to hinder the success. If that's the direction that it's taking, I feel like I can figure out a way to have both, where my customers, who I consider family, they still have the experience and they can still receive the products, but I can still do what I love. So I figure like a brick and mortar where I don't necessarily have to be there in order for it to be ran. As long as I put the right things in place and get the support that I need, I feel like I can maintain both. And even if it's a brick and mortar that's only open on the weekends, or or something like that, or during the summertime when I'm free, I feel like I can figure out a way to do that. And if not, then my other option would to be do like pop-ups. Just do pop-ups all the time. So that way people can come to me, I can come to them. So there's still access, there's still ways. Because I definitely still want to keep the e-commerce website open for sure. But just to have, my Kindles and other products kind of be pushed into everyone's home in different manners.
How important is it for you to be a black woman entrepreneur, and what's the significance of that?
I definitely take pride in that, especially with a lot that was happening last year with the social injustice and injustice and everything like that. I'm very proud. I feel like a lot of people do look up to me. I have had a lot of people reach out to me like, how do you keep pushing through when you're fighting these major corporations that aren't led by us? And I kind of just stick to what I know. I do what feels right to me. I make it more personable to me. And I don't like my customers to feel like they're just that. I try to create personal relationships with them. Like I said, consider them my family. And I don't know. I'm just me,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And as crazy as that sounds, like I try to cater to everyone. I did make candles dedicated to Black men. I named them Black and I named them King. And I used 50% of the proceeds from those candles and I donated back to some social justice organizations
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because for like bail
Mm-hmm.
money,
Mm-hmm.
different type of reforms and things like that. Because I like I said, I am a Black woman entrepreneur, but I feel like there is a window for Black women, and I'm just glad that I have my foot in the door. I'm not saying that I have it all figured out because I don't. There's still a lot for me to learn, but I'm just glad that I have this opportunity because there can be a young girl that looks just like me and is like, oh, she did it, so I
Mm-hmm.
know I can do it. Because that's what I did. There's been a lot of Black women entrepreneurs that I saw. I'm like, wow, like they're really like popular. Like
Mm-hmm.
people love their products. Like people love them. I'm like, well, if they can do it, I know I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I use other women as well to motivate me. But I feel like I'm just proud. Honestly, the response that I've received from my candles, it blows me away. Like every time someone's like, "Oh, I love it," I'm like, "Really?" Like it really makes me excited. So I'm just happy, honestly, just to be here.
I love that.
Oh, I have to ask. You have so many amazing scents. I know which ones I love. I mean, I feel the sense that you have that I joke, and I think I told you this when I first bought a few of them. I was like, this is like my dating life. Don't text him. Black with a berry, respect the beard, and then just black. So,
Gabby, you wilding right now.
I think that's self-awareness, right, Jerome? Like, let's
Absolutely,
Correct.
you have to know too.
and I also like them because all of those fragrances are so different and so distinct. Like your candle, like the one that literally says is black and it's in this beautiful black glass votive jar. To me, I'm like, this is the guy that I want to date. This is what he's going to smell like. It's like I'm manifesting right now every time I light this candle. It's amazing. But I'd love to know, like, what scents are your favorite from your collection?
Ooh, 1989 definitely is one of my favorites. That was the first candle that I knew I wanted because I purchased. That was the scent that my mom gifted me when I moved. And 1989 is the year that I was born. So I'm like, that is my first fave. And Cuddle Me Please, I love Cuddle Me Please. It's so soft, but like still rich enough where, it does its job. I actually dropped some of the oil when I was bringing it. I live in an apartment building and I dropped some of it in the hallway and I cleaned it up and I went back today and it's still like the scent is like taking over the hallway and I'm like, oh my God, this smells amazing. So I kind of want to put like a sticky note, like if you like this, let me know.
Please, yeah. Bring on this apartment if you want to buy this scent forever.
Absolutely.
Best marketing plan ever.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
accidental. Yeah, it's the best way.
And I would say my third favorite of all time, probably Black of the Berry. And that candle I named, I love the movie Friday.
The classic line.
I have had a crush on Chris Tucker since I was in my teens. And, you know, one of the lines he says, blackberry, sweeter than, no, the...
Well,
he said it backwards.
He messes it up. He says the older the berry, the sweeter the juice. And Craig goes, it's the blacker the berry. Yeah, well,
exactly. So I remember when I was testing that candle, Friday was on. And when I heard it, and then in the candle has raspberry, has vanilla, and I'm like, berry, black of the berry. I'm like, that's it. So another nostalgic moment. But I would say those three for sure. 1989, Cuddle Me Please, and Black of the Berry are like my top 3. I burn those all the time in here.
I love that.
Gabby, that's like, you're like, yes, my dating life.
No. I'm like thinking, I have to ask though. So in addition to candles, obviously we talk a lot about our love for sports, for the Giants and Knicks. Is there a Knicks candle in our future?
Oh!
I'm not even going to lie. I really wanted to make one for opening night, but I did. I had a whole plan. Like I had a vision. It's not too late.
Sense of the garden, right? Like that kind of like
overtime.
Yes, like I wanted
double overtime. So we don't want to get any licensing issues with overtime media.
That's a fact. But I definitely do want to make one for basketball season and football season. It might be like a super limited edition,
Yeah, like that.
But it's definitely in the works. I had been thinking about it for a while, but like like everything else, time flies. And next thing I know, the season was starting. I'm like, wait, I didn't get a chance to do it yet. But for sure.
All right. So you are a Giants Knicks fan because you are a New Yorker. So we're gonna talk about sneakers, obviously, because sneakers are why we're here in so many ways. When did you fall in love with sneakers?
I fell in love with sneakers. My oldest memory, elementary school. I grew very fast. My feet grew very fast. And so I wore a size 9 in the 5th grade.
Wow.
And yeah, I grew, my feet grew, and then I stopped. I reached my peak at, I think, probably like 8th or 9th grade. And I remember going to the sneaker store, and because my mom was like, your feet are just growing too big. Like, this is crazy. And we went to the sneaker store, and I actually met Grant Hill. He was doing a sneaker signing in the store, and I'm like, Grant Hill? Absolutely. Like, I want to go now.
Hey, yes,
so,
please.
Like, I just remember going to get sneakers in the sneaker store with a basketball player, and that's like my oldest memory. But it wasn't until I probably got to about 7th or 8th grade, and I joined the basketball team, and everybody had cool sneakers. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what are these? Like, what's that? I want those. And I remember asking my mom, and I said, Mom, I don't want anything else. I don't want clothes. I don't want anything. I just want sneakers. And she said, okay, if that's what you want. Everything else, it didn't matter. I wouldn't ask for anything but sneakers.
Yo, see, and parents are so good at that, right? Like, okay, you said it. You don't want, all right,
right.
Then that's
no more clothes. Sorry, your pants are
that's
too
what
short.
It's going to be.
You said no clothes.
I wore turtleneck with sneakers because she said,
I love that.
This is what you wanted, sneakers, right? You want these $100. Back then it was about $100. Right. Now they're almost $3. But so if you want that, all right, this is what I'm gonna buy. So I was wearing turtleneck and corduroy.
I love it.
With Jordan.
By the way, turtleneck. Don't listen. Corduroy, by the way, fire as our turtleneck. So let's,
Yeah, now. Not the early 2000s. Now,
he said now.
Back then,
now it's a vibe.
I mean, I was wearing it in the 80s. Let's just, I'll keep it a buck. It was cool. It was cool. That's what I was doing.
And then it faded out.
And then it came out back.
You know how that goes.
But now we back.
So did you have the Grant Hills, the Filas?
I did not.
I was like, how you gonna go to see Grant at a store and not get his shoes, man?
It was an accident. I wasn't even going for him. I was going to get sneakers because my feet were too big. And I'm pretty sure my mother probably was just like, yeah, no, this is what we came for. She was very adamant, like, if this is what we came for, this is what we're going home.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Absolutely.
So what were some fresh pairs you used to rock back in the day when you were hooping and all that?
Oh, well, I played ball, so we had a lot of Team Jordan sneakers, obviously. But I remember I wanted the Carmelos. It was a Carmelo Jordan sneaker. It was blue and white with some yellow stitching,
Yep,
and
that
it
was
had like
Denver Nuggets colorway. Yeah.
Yes, because I'm still a huge Melo fan, and I remember those. I would play ball in those, and then I had a collection. So I had 1s, 3s, 4s, 5s. I never had a pair of 6s, and I regret that to this day. I never had a pair of 6s, and I never had a pair of 19s. But I didn't want 19s.
Okay, all right.
But
fair enough.
I had just about every Jordan. 2s, absolutely. I had the navy blue with the sky blue. I had the black, gray, and white ones.
Okay.
Those are the only things I remember that I have for sure. Because I have a picture in the navy blue.
Okay, look at you. Look at you.
You're like, I was into it before the off-whites came out, y'all.
For sure.
But, I mean, what is your favorite silhouette today? I know that we talk a lot about Jordans, like what we're wearing at the games, who's got what on, but what's your favorite today?
My favorite sneaker?
Yeah.
I'm all about comfort now. So I have a pair of Air Max Plus. But the ones that are hybrid with the
Vapor Max?
Yes, I was gonna say the bubble. Yes, the Vapor Max. I wore them today. Those are my favorite.
Comfort.
The comfort, but they're also just fly. Like the colorways that they come in, they have like I have the all black ones. They have red. They had yellow. They had like this multicolor one. They had a color that they only had in Europe. And when my best friend was in Europe, I was like, see if they have my size. They didn't have my size because they only made it out there. But for sure now at this age, absolutely, those are like my favorite sneakers. I just like the way they look. They're just super comfortable.
I like it. All right, now is the obligatory time where I give you the opportunity to tell me why your New York Knicks are going to go back to the playoffs this year and why you are potentially going to advance further than you did last season.
I feel like last year was an introduction to the new team. We had a new coach, we had new players, we had players come back, and we were kind of getting the feel of things, and it kind of worked out in our favor. With no fans, they were able to just concentrate on their craft. Now, making it to the playoffs after we hadn't made it in 8 years, I believe, or something like that. This year, it's like, okay, we did that. Now we're going to go further. We have returning players. We have new players again, but we also have we have good leadership. Tibbs is an amazing coach. Like, when I heard that he was going to be our coach, I was like, you know what? I trust him. You know, other times I'm like, I don't really know how this is going to go. But with Tibbs, I trust him. And I feel like with leaders like Derrick Rose, you have a vet in the game at this point, Kemba Walker. He's an amazing point guard. You know, we just hope that he stays healthy, you know. Julius Randle, I feel like he has a lot to prove. He carried the team on his back last year, and you know there was a lot of us that felt like he let us down. But I don't know if he let us down. I feel like the circumstances changed. We had fans come back, and it was a high pressure.
It's the playoffs, baby. It's a different game.
It was hard to be there as a fan. It was so loud that it was shocking. You know,
it is a different game.
It is, and I just feel like they want to prove not only to us, but to themselves that we are more than what people expect us to be. And I feel like if the chemistry stays well, they allow leaders to lead and to facilitate how to move the ball and just stay true to themselves. Don't try to play anybody else's game. Stay true to your role. If you're not good at ISO, don't ISO. If you're not, if you're not a 3-point shooter, don't shoot it. If you can assist, stick to your role. And I feel like if they do that, then we can definitely go far. Like, I can definitely see us coming out of the East. People may say I'm crazy. I could see it. That doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Right, but you can see it. You see a path that it can happen.
Absolutely. Double overtime. They were fatigued, but they never stopped fighting.
They didn't quit. All right.
That's true.
All right.
Quick. Sometimes it's hard.
Come on.
All right. So, are the Knicks the best basketball team in New York?
Oh.
I love this question.
Okay, based on what?
Whatever criteria you want to use. Whatever criteria you want to use.
I would say hard. I would say we are. Because if you look at what's happening in Brooklyn, you have Kyrie, you have Harden, you have KD. And look at Kyrie. He made his personal choices about what he wants to do with his body. That's absolutely on him. He thought about what he needed to do. Did he neglect his team in a sense? Yes. That's my personal opinion. I like Kyrie. I stand by doing what you believe for you.
However.
The Knicks, I feel like, right. However, the Knicks, I feel like we're becoming one. We're becoming a family. And over at Brooklyn, you have KD as an entity. You have James Harden as an entity. Can they work together? I don't know. There was a lot of injuries last year, so we don't even know what really could have happened. They lost to the Bucks by a toe on the line.
Indeed.
You know?
Indeed.
So do we really know what could have happened if they were all healthy at the same time? We don't know, and unless it happens, we're not going to see it because Kyrie's not even going to be playing. So, in my opinion, I think the Knicks are better.
I like it.
With
See, look at that sound, reasonable, right? A fan. She's a fan, so she's showing that, but she's not being irrational about it. She's like, here's what I feel. Here's my reasoned approach about it. I can appreciate that. All right, folks, stay tuned because coming up next, America's favorite segment, Shoe and Tell, presented by Another Lane, and I have a feeling Janelle's gonna have some heat for y'all. So stay tuned. We are back, y'all, and you know what time it is. America's favorite segment, Shoe and Tell, presented by Another Lane, the premier digital marketplace for dope kicks. Man, Adina and Chad, Sneaker Galactus and Mrs. Sneaker Galactus, are lighting it up out there. Guys, if you weren't into sneaker culture, you want to be around like-minded people, you want to get an education, get yourself on anotherlane.com. Okay, now.
Right.
This is Shoe and Tell. So, Janelle, it's all you. You show us a shoe. Tell us why you like it, and why it matters to you.
Right. So, we'll start with my Space Jams.
One of Gabby's favorites.
Favorites,
Really,
yeah.
Gab?
It almost killed me outside the garden.
That's true.
Oh, gosh. Well, I like the Space Jams because, number one, Space Jam is a great movie. Like, I'm all about this nostalgia again. And I love the 11s, like, in general.
Yes.
I I wanted the Breads since I was in 7th grade, and I was never able to get them. So this was like a happy medium for me. So when they finally re-released, probably for the 3rd time, I was like, nope, I'm getting them. I'm getting them. So these definitely for sure.
Love it.
Do I go to the next one?
Oh yeah, this is you. Yeah. You run the show.
So then we have my Air Saint. This was I think it was like right before quarantine hit. I believe they dropped, and I bought them in 2 colorways. I should have got all 3. I wasn't trying to be overzealous. I got 2. I got the rose gold and I got the silver. I've always liked Air Max, period, and I remember the Air Max 90s. I remember them in all white, and I always wanted a pair, and I never got them. And I don't know why, because I worked at a Finish Line for 3 years, and I never got them. But I really wanted them in silver because I have the 97s in silver, and they're too small.
Okay.
So I can only wear them when I'm not walking, and these were to happily replace those so I can wear them when I'm actually walking.
Got you. I like those. They fly too.
Out to dinner sneakers if they're too small.
Yes.
Out to dinner sneakers.
You go out to dinner, you look pretty while you walk.
I was gonna say,
table,
and then
you walk back to the car and you're home.
Gonna say you get a cab or whatever because you ain't trying to walk nowhere with those things on.
That's a fact. Especially when your toe is just tapping the top. Like, I even took the sole out. That's how I was like, I'm wearing these shoes. I took the sole out. That's how desperate I was.
Yep.
Yes. Next I have my Gatorade. My Gatorade ones. And I really liked these because they were orange, honestly. I'm a huge Knicks fan, obviously, and I just liked how it was just all one color.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they had it in lime, they had it in light blue, they had it in purple, but it was just something about the orange. And so I was like, yeah, like, let's just do it, you know? And it came a little towel, it came like green laces.
Okay.
Like, these are mine. Like, I want these. And then my last, but absolutely not least, one of my faves, Air Max OG, Air Max Plus OGs. I feel like these came out, I think in like 98, and my uncle had these. And I going back to the memories, when they re-released them, I was like, oh my God, like I remember it, like I never had it, but I really, really liked them. And blue is my favorite color, which is
blue
so
and
on brand.
orange, Knicks, blue, Giants, you know,
Giants,
I got you.
It's so on brand for me. So it's like, you know, I definitely needed to get these, and I got these again in orange, the orange with the yellow.
It's a great shoe.
You know, I'm so predictable.
No, you're consistent, not predictable.
But when you're at the Garden, you're looking fresh, right? You matched, you got all your Knicks gear, and you like.
Absolutely, you know, I gotta make sure. But you know, it's crazy because I was an even bigger sneakerhead back in the day, and when I was graduating high school, I told myself, Janelle, you're going to become more feminine. I gave away all of my Jordans, Air Maxes.
Gave them away?
Gave it for free. I didn't sell them. I had Cardinals.
Wow.
I had what was the 6 rings, 7 rings, 6 rings, 6 rings.
Mm-hmm.
I had breads. Gave them away.
Wow.
For no cost, because it was just like I was trying to like level up my life, and I didn't want money. I didn't want money for it. Like I wasn't doing it for monetary reasons. And I could really shoot myself in the foot at this point because I had to start over from scratch.
Yeah.
And my Space Jams actually were the first sneaker that I purchased when I was trying to get back in the game.
I see that.
And so
is what it is.
That's what everybody remembers, though. That first sneaker that brought him back.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm trying. I'm taking L's left and right on, you know, on the sneakers app. But, you know, we're going to prevail.
You're going to be all right. Listen. Everybody's doing that. Janelle, this is great. We love talking to you. Tell the people where they can find you, Candle Company, and all that stuff.
Okay. Well, my candle company is Light the Candle Co. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on my website, lightthecandleco.com. If you want to follow me, I am NicksGiants _ on Instagram. And I would love to chop it up with you guys, you know?
We appreciate having you. And folks, thank you for joining us as always. As you know, we are part of that Count the Dings family. You can find us on the Bomb podcast feed with the original Bomb show, Woke Bros, rap names growing up the same. Hey man, we're all there. And we are at Kicks and Shit Show on all social media platforms. Until next time, peace.